Welcome to the Kinjaz Podcast. Here we will discuss dance, life, and whatever the we want.
Welcome back to the Kinjaz Podcast, Movement in the Shadows. We are your host, Ben.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Shao.
Wow.
I was thinking about this all day, man. I just want to try it.
Dude, do
What's
it.
up?
Yes. We're back. Okay, wow. Today we have a very, very, very special guest. I'm super excited about this one. I actually had to write down this intro just because, I had to do it justice.
Hey.
This man's accomplishments, his accolades, they just go forever.
Hey.
So let me do this. In 2010, named Best New Chef by Food and Wine.
Wow.
In 2013, he had a New York Times best-selling memoir/cookbook called LA Son.
Oh.
Included in Time Magazine's 100 Most Influential People in the World in 2016. Wow.
That one was big.
That
That's a big
was,
one.
yes. 2017, his restaurant Local received the first ever LA Times Restaurant of the Year award.
Holy
Boom.
crap.
Co-owner and co-founder of the world-famous Kogi Taco Truck,
Delicious.
as well as Chego, A-Frame, Alibi Room, Commissary Pot, and of course Local. The technical advisor to Jon Favreau in the movie The Chef, which is one of my
Amazing movie.
all-time favorite movies.
Amazing.
Wowzers. And this guy's a straight-up game changer, literally tastemaker, haha, and just a K-Town OG. Ladies and gentlemen, Roy Choi.
Welcome.
Da-da-da-da.
Bonjour.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about.
Frenching it up, man. Well, Roy, welcome to the podcast. So we call this Movement in the Shadows. So basically, the idea behind this is it's like the behind the hustle, but more of just like what people see of, most people in like social media, they'll see like a snapshot. They get a little highlight reel of like, oh, this is what my life looks like to you, but you never really get like the full story. So this is just really your open road to just kind of tell your story as you see it, as you want to say it. No filters, just do you. So it's just talking about the hustle, man.
That's great because what you say is true. I think in this world now, I mean, I don't hate this world. I love it. I love all social media, but we do live in a Cliff Note version of the world right now. Whereas like you guys as dancers know there's a lot of hard work behind the scenes. And then what people see is a culmination of all that hard work.
Yeah.
But and talent and whatever vibe but now we're in this world where it's like you only see the pretty sometimes.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a hustle behind it.
Absolutely a hustle. But let's get into it. So let's start with the story, man. I feel like I have so much to learn from you. I'm sure all of our listeners. You got a lot of dancers listening to you, but I'm sure you got like a whole bunch of other like young folks who are aspiring to be whatever they want to be. So where'd you grow up? What's that whole story like?
All right. Well, I used to actually dance when I was younger.
Hey!
I come from the battle era, like way in the early '90s, late '80s.
Yeah.
But I don't know where all that rhythm went. But it went into my food. But I grew up in K-Town.
Yeah.
Grew up in K-Town, and we moved a lot actually. K-Town, West LA, Crenshaw, downtown, and West Hollywood. And then in junior high, I moved to Orange County.
Okay.
Like we were dirt poor until I was 13. And then overnight, my parents became rich. And, being Asian, it was their main goal. They came here with nothing in their pockets.
Yeah.
And like for me, like philosophically, I have other things now as an American that I dream about and things like that. But for them, it was about just getting money. And
how did they become rich overnight?
Jewelry.
Oh.
So up until then, we did everything every immigrant family does.
Yeah.
We ran liquor stores, restaurants, dry cleaners, 1 hour photo shops, and all that stuff, the whole 9 yards. Hustling Amway and Herbalife on the side. All day. My mom was a hustler, selling kimchi out of the trunk, going to the bowling alleys, going to the parties and all those things. In Korean, we have something called K-meeting, which is it's like the underground network of Korean parents, right?
Bro, my parents got down with that.
You got down with that because, a lot of us come here with no money. We can't get jobs, maybe illegal in some cases, probably. And so we're all working like as busboys or dishwashers or stuff like that. But every Korean is so stubborn, they want to be their own boss. So they have this thing called Ken meeting where they meet and everyone takes their money and they put it in the pot. So it's kind of like what you guys do as a collective, as a unit. So everyone trusts each other. They put the money in the pot. One person gets that pot every month, and then they open a store. So that's really how the economy started. Yeah. So then someone would open a trophy store or a 1 hour photo or a market because of that money, because there was no money before that. So we were doing all that. Nothing worked. Bankrupt. And then they got into jewelry, and overnight, boom.
Wow.
Yeah.
What year was that? Like
that was like probably mid 80s, like 84, 85. But it was literally overnight. Literally living in apartments, and then no warning. The next day, my dad's like, "We're moving." And then it was like, it's truly a storybook. Like, literally brown station wagon, beat up bucket, just living in an apartment. Next morning, he rolls up in a brand new Fleetwood Brown Cadillac.
Oh, damn.
And he drives us to Orange County, and then there's this huge white house, and my whole life changed on a dime. But I look back, and I'm cool with it. At the time, it was tough, right? Because at the time, I'm coming from L.A. Sure. I moved to the suburbs of Orange County. It was a huge culture shock. But as I look back, I think it's probably was what was meant to be in my life, because now I can feed everyone. I don't discriminate against anybody. And so, like, I understand what it is to be a teenager in Orange County. I understand what it is to be a kid and an adult in Los Angeles, and all of the different economic layers in between, too, So it helped me as a chef.
Sure.
It was hard as a teenager.
So growing up, though, was like food and like to be a chef like on your plan? Was that the dream, or was it something else? I mean, you were dancing. I don't think being a professional chef was ever in my dream until I had nothing left to do. So the way I became a chef was in my mid-20s. I was at rock bottom, like literally rock. I don't know if any of your listeners or you guys have ever been there. You're still pretty young. I know. I've definitely been there.
Yeah, but literally where you burned every bridge, rock bottom. I mean, you don't even want to live no more, to be honest. And at that moment, I found cooking, and it saved my life. But before that, I grew up in a restaurant. I grew up around food. I grew up in a family where literally there's refrigerator can't even close because there's so much food, but yet we can't pay our bills. What I mean? I can't. I'm wearing hand-me-downs and turning T-shirts inside out. Lights barely can go on, but then literally our refrigerator full, full of food. I mean, crazy.
It's not bad.
Pay for anything, but then there's caviar.
Like, how do we
And so it was always around me. I always loved food. In high school, how I paid for myself and my car and stuff, I worked in restaurants, but it was never anything that I thought would be a profession, ever. Because my parents weren't going for that. I didn't even think that the two made sense as a career. Yeah. So I did the whole thing. I went to college, but it was the middle of law school where I was sitting in class and I realized, like, what the hell am I doing? Yeah. And I walked out of law school, and I just tried to figure it out from there. And that's where I went through my dark period. And then at the end of that kind of tunnel, because you're going to go through certain tunnels in life, and at the end of that tunnel is where I found food. As soon as I found food, I've been off and running since then. That's been 20 years.
Was it like your parents that taught you how to cook, or you just like taught yourself?
I think so. I think I taught myself, and I definitely learned because I went to culinary school and I staged in the best restaurants, in New York. And but I think the foundation of being around food and watching my mom cook and all my aunties and everyone cook, being in the restaurant, seeing all the old ladies and the ajumas make the kimchi and everything. It was just something that was like spiritually within me. And then so the moment it was my turn to step on stage or do whatever it is, I was ready. It was like Born Identity.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's sick. You mentioned it's like a spirituality about food. Is that how you kind of view food? Like, what is your relationship with food?
I think so. I don't know how it is with you guys as dancers, but like everyone has their own styles, right? And some people are technical, some people are extremely complicated and maybe theatrical or whatever the case may be. Same thing with chefs. Some chefs are extremely scientific, technical. Some are considered the best in the world. Some are very precise, almost mathematically like just genius level precise. I've always been someone that's been more freestyle, and I've been someone that's been more like a little bit messy, a little bit raw. You know, I'm a little more underground. I'm like kind of demo tape level versus like, you know, like label.
Yeah. You're like a true b-boy. True b-boy chef.
Yeah, it would be more like that. Where it's a little bit not perfect. But through that, there's something that gives goosebumps to everyone, you know, and something that all of the true heads and cats really respect. You know, that's someone I've always been as a chef, and that's, I think, what made Kogi so strong. Yeah. Is that I was able to speak to the streets and like really connect through this spirituality of like food. Yeah. You know, in a time where we needed like some loving and some care. This was because Kogi happened in 2008. You know, America was going through like some tough stuff at that time. The economy crashed. The real estate market, you know, went upside down. People were trying to figure their life out. And at the same time, social media just came on board at that time with Twitter and all that. So, and then we were just rolling these streets and cooking, and we didn't have to explain ourselves. I think that's where my spirituality came through. It's like I was able to, especially as being an Asian, we don't really get that many opportunities to express ourselves or tell our story in a mainstream or pop culture format. And so with Kogi, what happened was we were able to like really, really express ourselves truly as we are, you know, as Asian Americans, but mainly as like LA folks, you know, and not have to have like our identity define who we are. We just put it out there and people could understand it, you know, and especially here where we are right now in San Gabriel Valley, this was some of our biggest stops. Rosemead, Temple City, South Del Monte, you know, Alhambra, Arcadia, you know, shout out to all of them because they're the ones that really, really understood what we were trying to say. And the food was almost like telling their story as well. So that's what I mean by spiritual. It was like we were telling a story of all of our collective kind of feelings and emotions and like life together through this one bite of, you know, sesame oil, soy sauce, garlic, ginger, green onions, you know, marinated in this caipi marinade, you know, chilies, all the bomb stuff. And then one bite in the parking lot.
That sounds amazing.
Under the street lamps, you know what I mean? Like it was really, really great. And we were connecting to, like I see with your guys' studio here, like we were connecting with a lot of youth, you know, that they just couldn't find a connection to, and Kogi was speaking to them.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of like when people go into like the culinary arts, they view food as like the gourmet to the, you know, I think like, you know, 5-star Michelin star rated, like, you know, restaurants. But your approach to food was kind of like the opposite end of that spectrum. Was that something that you did it just to like simply like rebel against like culture, or was that just something that you were just about?
No, it was all by chance, but we definitely redefined everything. And that's where like that Time 100 most influential thing comes into play. Yeah. Because at first Kogi was like a lot of things in life, it was kind of a little bit shallow, I guess. Like we were all out of a job. All we were trying to do was get money and get phone numbers. That's all we were trying to do. Like most of my crew was much younger than I was, so they were all single still. So we parked in front of the club. We would park in front of the
get phone numbers in that way. Smart.
That sounds like my kind of job.
So all we were looking to do was make a little bit of cash.
Sure.
Hook up and just have fun. Yeah. That's really, but through that, sometimes through things like that, you find your purpose in life. And we found our purpose because at first, with those two objectives, we ended up in front of the nightclubs in Hollywood, serving people at 2 a.m. Through that, we made our way to the colleges. Through that, we made our way to the streets and to all of the surrounding neighborhoods like South Bay, San Gabriel, everything, right? And then, but what really happened was we started off with no plan, just trying to do that, and then the streets started talking to us. There was literally thousands of people, you know, in parking lots, and you can't like escape from that. Yeah. And so we quickly realized we were stepping into something that was way beyond us. Yeah. Way beyond. It took a few months for us to really digest like how powerful this thing is. You know, you never know. You know, and then if you think you're too much of something too quick, you know, you might get to your head or something. So we were just trying to figure this whole thing out, but yeah, there was no plan.
Sure. Did you ever have like a regular restaurant job, like as you know, for a restaurant and all that?
For me personally, again, like the team of Kogi, they were in their early 20s when we started, so they were just getting started. They were like my disciples, you know, and then I was like the elder statesman and the one with experience. The reason I think Kogi worked is because of that recipe between them and myself, which is they held the youth, the courage, the fearlessness, all those things, right? We were at rock bottom. There's nothing to lose. And then I was a little bit older, but I had all the experience, right? So I was a little bit of the coach, kind of the wisdom to everything. Sure. And I was ready. I was ready in the moment because I was a chef for, at that time, already for 10, 15 years. I'd been running huge hotels and banquet kitchens and stuff. So I knew how to cook for a lot of people at one time. Maybe if I was only a restaurant cook. Yeah. For example, if, I don't know, like whatever field you're in, there are different levels to it, whether you're ballet, tap, you know, hip hop, whatever. Like if I had only been a restaurant cook, which is maybe like if I had only been a ballet dancer, maybe I wouldn't have been ready for this. But because I had run hotels and banquet kitchens and stuff, when the moment approached me, I knew how to cook for 1,000 people. You know, like if you run a small restaurant here, you know, like a cool restaurant, there's maybe only 10 tables and you're only doing 50 people a night. You may not have the muscle memory to figure out how you cook for 1,000 people. Yeah. But because I had it in that moment appeared, I was like, boom, it was just natural. Yeah. I mean, I think going back to your original question, we changed everything because we cooked the food that was here from Los Angeles. The problem a lot of the structure and the grading elements of anything in this world is all European based sometimes. Again, even with dance, right? It's based around European ballet or European measurements of things. Same with food. Fine dining. Your original question was fine dining. Fine dining is all measured by a European benchmark. Sure. But we shattered that whole shit, and we made it about Los Angeles. And then by doing that, what happened was people had to listen, people had to pay attention, and it changed what it meant to be great food. Yeah. So great food could be on the streets, in a parking lot, in Temple City, at a Home Depot, and it could be the best food in the world. Yeah. You know. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then that changes everything. Because before that, what's happening is everything is dictated by people that don't understand what it's like to live like we do. Sure. Right? And then so what we do looks like it's less important. It looks like it's primitive. It looks like it's just how, you know, the world views anyone that's from a marginalized community or is brown in skin color or whatever. Sure. Like it looks like you don't fit the mold because the mold is built around the European model. Again, we shattered that. Yeah, I love that. I mean, you mentioned like understanding all parts of restaurants and food, and just knowing how to have a relationship with food as a whole. I mean, that's just the way that we approach dance and what we do. Like people ask us, like, "Oh, you guys are like hip hop dancers," and we're like kinda, not really. And the reason why we don't classify ourselves with that because it's more than just one style. Like we've learned, you know, styles from hip hop, but then there's like jazz, contemporary, ballet, modern, and then we incorporate all those things into like a team setting where like a lot of us are like former directors of teams, so we know how to coach and lead people. And then, you know, we kind of just assimilated everything into one, and we just kind of call it like urban dance because that's just the best way to describe it. It's kind of disruptive, and it creates like a fusion of all sorts of things. It's kind of like we call it like the MMA of dance, right? You just like fuse it all together and it works. And I feel like that's what's dope about what you've done. Cause I mean, the whole food truck culture was like, I mean, for me, when I remember food trucks, this is like when I was a kid, I would go to my dad's, like he had like a pest control in K-Town. It would just be like taco trucks, right? And like, and my mom would like, I mean, sometimes I'd eat, but she's like, oh, that stuff's bad for you. That stuff's like cheap food. And then like right around that 2008 time, there was like that food truck boom, right? And I think Anthony Bourdain like shouted you out for that.
Like, what was that whole like introduction or reintroduction of the food truck culture? What was that like?
I always look at it like we were the children or descendants of the original food truck movement of food truck, because you have to understand a little brief history of food trucks first, right? And I won't go too deep, but it's like you have to understand about the immigration of the Latinos and Mexican, Central Americans here to Los Angeles, and then you have to understand the construction boom of the 80s here in downtown Los Angeles. So those two things are the two history points of street food and food trucks here in LA. And so one is tacos and Latino street vendors here in East LA, Boyle Heights, South LA, Huntington Park, all of that, right? And then that is a lifestyle. That is food for the community. Those are restaurants for the community. And then you have the construction boom of the 80s, and then the hot dog carts and like stuff from the Venice Boardwalk in the 70s. And those are again, two historical points of where street food comes from in LA. But the construction boom was a huge one, because those of you that don't know, LA really, really grew from a building standpoint in the early and mid 80s, because Japan had mad money at that time, and they were buying everything and they were building all the skyscrapers. Yeah. So the thing about skyscrapers is when you're working as an iron worker or as whatever it is, you're up 78 stories in the sky, you know, on basically toothpicks, right? Yeah. And you don't really have time to come back down. And there are no restaurants or anything, because you're building basically the city, so there's nothing around you. So basically these food trucks were a life source for all these guys. And a lot of these guys are tough guys, right? Big, tough guys. So they bring like 2 huge thermos containers, and the food trucks come at 4:30 a.m. and they basically load up, you know, 4 sandwiches, 4 big Gatorades, 4 Snicker bars. Stop for the day, right? Yeah. They go up, and that's the culture. So it was lunch. Those are called loncheras, lunch trucks, and then we have taco trucks. Outside of those two cultures, everyone looked at those things as dirty, right? They didn't understand it. But what we were able to do was take the soul of, because we were descendants of those same loncheras and same taco vendors. So what we did was, because we had technology and we were younger, we were able to take that soul and translate it to everyone. And I think the way we did it also is like what you were saying about learning all forms. If any, just because I mentioned European models before, it doesn't mean you don't have to learn that stuff. If you ever want to break a rule or create your own lane on something, you gotta not. If you're lucky enough that you don't have to do this, then I applaud you. But in most cases, you want to learn. You want to learn the game. If you want to break, if you want to break the rules, learn the rules before you break the rules. Absolutely. So for me, I learned everything. I learned French cuisine. I went to culinary school. I learned how to cook. Small restaurant, big restaurant, small hotel, big hotel, region, corporate, country, everything. I learned all the little things. So when it became my time to express myself, I combined my upbringing with my training. Because sometimes those things can be separate. Like you have a work face and you have a home face, right? Yeah. It's like you could be two different people. Like, I guess I've always lived that life growing up. And I'm sure a lot of people listening, and a lot of you Asian kids out there, it's probably less now, but in my era, like, you lived a double life. Like, you have your home life with your family and stuff, and food, and so your parents sometimes don't speak English and all those things, and then you're a teenager and you got to deal with all that stuff of being a teenager. And then you go out to the real world and you got to be American, right? Yeah. So you kind of live a double life. I think in many ways that's like work too. It's like you learn the craft, learn everything you can, and if you really got the skill to express yourself and find your own lane, you gotta know what you're doing. Yeah. I think sometimes right now we get caught up in thinking that because if we are talking about the hustle and the stuff behind the scenes, it's not sexy or it's not exciting to build the repertoire. I see it in the rap game. I see it in other things, right? It's like everyone wants to be a star right away. Yep. And again, one out of a million may have that talent right out the gate. You know, maybe like a Post Malone or something like that, right? You know, but then for every Post Malone, there's like a million others that are just
a little.
Yeah. And so what will happen is you may get some little shine at the beginning, but because you don't have any roots and any depth in your knowledge, sometimes what will happen is like a house of cards, you'll tip and you'll fall, and it becomes very noticeable. Like, and not everyone will say that to you. You know, like I'm sure you guys see it if someone's trying to audition in front of you or something. I see it when someone tries to cook for me or is getting a lot of shine right now, and I see their food or I see how they're acting, or I won't say it because I want everyone to succeed, but I can tell very, very quickly whether or not they've put in the work or not.
Totally. Yeah.
And it shows. It really does. You know?
Yeah, I mean, this whole social media thing, I mean, that's like really the culture that we live in. We talk a lot about social media because we get tons of kids, students that come up to us that like their question is literally like, how do I become like famous on YouTube? You know, and then we're just like, I don't know how to answer that question because like there's so many ways to go about it. But like, I mean, obviously we want to give them something real, but like I think we try to like always, you know, teach our students like it's not about being. If you're seeking fame, you may be able to get that off of like a stupid viral video. You might get famous off of that, but like, is that really some sort of substantial talent that you can stand on and have some sort of longevity after that, right? But speaking of social media though, so when you guys kind of did the Kogi thing in 2008, that was the birth of like Twitter and all that, right? And that played like a huge part in your guys being able to just be mobile and also just let people know like, yo, we're over here and we're, you know what I'm saying? But that being such a new social media, was that something that you knew like, yo, this is hot, I gotta be on this? Or was that just something like, I'm just gonna try it and like people just kind of caught on?
Well, I think we knew, but really the real reason we used it is because it was free.
Free advertising.
We didn't have no money at that time, man. We started Kogi with $1,500.
Damn.
$1,500, and we haven't looked back. We've never had to take money, nothing. We're completely independent. We lived off every single penny and dollar that came in from day one, and saved it like the cheap Asians that we are, you know, and you know, opened a small little shop from there, But yeah, we started using Twitter as basically someone suggested it to us. It was free. We didn't know what to do with it. We just started putting our locations. We had one of our team members, Alice. She was writing all kinds of weird stuff on there and just expressing her creative thoughts. And she was amazing. And she was building a following. And a lot of times we were just kind of like figuring it out in real time. But what it looked like from the outside, now that I look back, it looked like we were this master, huge company creating a scavenger hunt, you know, all through the streets of LA. Like it was like this huge, like orchestrated thing.
Sure.
But we were literally like the Three Stooges figuring it out. And
that's exactly how it looked.
Yeah, right?
I'm from the Bay Area, and around that time, like on Twitter, all my like SoCal friends were talking about Kogi Truck. I was like, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
You just never know where they are. You just gotta find them on Twitter, and then you go there.
So that's the funny thing is it really became something special for everyone here in LA. Like it would be like if it happened right now, the four of us would be like, you know, oh shit, it's going to show up at 9 p.m. tonight. And we would all try to figure out how to get there. And it seemed like something that like a rave or like a party or something that we had to wait for. And then we would all go and there would be flash mobs. But again, but on the inside, we were just figuring out, we're like, oh, this corner looks good. Monterey Pass Road.
Like, I don't have Waze yet, so I'm just going to park and people hopefully find us.
That's wild.
Great, man. So yeah, with that whole spread of things, so like, I mean, obviously, we talk about the social media thing, but you had to have had a legit product for that to even be like a culture. Like it may have like a hype, you know, kind of a hype piece thing in the initial stages, but unless you got something legit, it's not going to grow and it's not going to, you know, it's not going to create that following, right?
I mean, the taco at the end of the day was bomb.
Yeah.
You know, it was something that when people ate it, I always say when people, because I saw every single person eat it. I was the one cooking, handing it to them. And I could see the reaction. There was something that happened where everyone got hypnotized the first time they ate Kogi. Because it tasted like I mean, it was literally. I mean, to be honest, I'm not just saying because I'm on here, but it was like when I first saw, you guys in the Jabbawockeez dance, right? Like, it's like something you've never seen before, but it's also something that you can connect to. Kogi was like that in the sense that when the first time people ate it, it tasted Mexican, it tasted Korean, it felt Mexican, it felt Korean, it felt like LA, it felt like all these things that we've all been feeling together, but all of a sudden it came into one thing, and it just blew everyone's mind. And on top of that, it was delicious. Yeah. So it made people like stop thinking for a second. If that makes sense, right? So it's like when you're in that flow or that zone, it's like when you don't have to count the steps or think and all these things. It made this like whole city stop thinking for a second. And in that moment where everyone stopped thinking is when everyone got connected to Kogi. And that's why we're still here 10 years later, because we stayed true to the culture. That was the most important thing to us. Because at that time when we started, frozen yogurt was huge, right? It just came up. But that was a huge roller coaster. It goes up and it comes all the way down. Now all these frozen yogurt spots are gone because those things were quick money. And I think in a way, if you look at it, what we're talking about is frozen yogurt is like social media in a sense, right? Like if there's a quick spike, but if at the end of the day, if you're not true to the culture or the craft, it's gonna fall. Yeah. And I don't want to sound like it's a lecture or nothing, because you don't have to. Everyone doesn't have to follow the same way. You can take your own way. Like you can start shallow, just like we did. You can start just wanting to be famous, like people are asking you, and you do a viral video, and you don't have any experience. But I think the key to longevity after that, even if you start shallow, is accept that opportunity, acknowledge it, and then put in the work. Some people have to put in the work beforehand. Like I put in the work beforehand. So when the moment came, I already had all that knowledge. I was like a black belt already, and then MMA came along. Right, that's tough. Right. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's sick.
But that doesn't have to be the path for everyone, right? You could be a white belt, and then it comes along, you get viral, but then you got to put in the work too. You can't just be viral for the rest of your life. Because it will fall. I guarantee you.
You still got to become a black belt.
You still got to get there, but it doesn't matter. It's like tattoos. Tattoos, you can get them when you're 14, you can get them when you're 44. It doesn't matter. It's all about timing, right? And it's about when that time is right for you. But if it does happen to you and you do get famous and you do figure out YouTube and you get it, if you don't put the work back into it after that, like people are going to move on.
Yeah.
But if you do put the work, look at Kogi 10 years later, we're stronger than ever because we respect the culture. You guys are just about to grow. You're just starting the podcast. You're growing. Maybe with your fame at the beginning, if you didn't put the work back in, you would have been a flash in the pan too.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, that's great, man. I hope you guys are freaking listening to this.
Yeah, this is some freaking gold right now.
So what was your transition like from like the food truck into like brick and mortar? And so like what was the first one that you opened up after Kogi?
First restaurant I opened up, real restaurant, full blown, was A-Frame on the west side. That's right where kind of East Venice meets Culver City on Washington.
And this is a different concept from Kogi,
totally right? Different concept. What happened was I opened two restaurants at the same time right there. One was called Chego, which is a rice bowl, quick service place. That concept, these both happened like a year and a half after Kogi started. And Chego was ours, and we built it with all the money that we saved. And it was a small little mini mall place in Palms. And that concept was designed around me thinking about that double life as a kid. Like I could never, because when I moved to Orange County, even though we moved to the suburbs, my mom was still immigrant as fuck. So like, when I brought my friends over and they opened the refrigerator, there was no cereal or like Oreo cookies. It was like, it
like
was kimchi,
and stuff like that.
Silkan, kimchi, fermenting. All the bottles were like spilling and fermenting. And it was always like crazy. Mama, dead fish, you know, the kurubi.
Oh, yeah.
Just all over the front yard and dried squid, on the clothesline.
Korean houses are wild.
And, and that, mix that with like suburbs and people just looking at us like, who the hell are these guys? And so it was a big scar for me, and I had to figure it out. But then when I had this chance to open Chego, it was like, let me confront all that. Mm-hmm. Let me confront all this stuff, this baggage that I've had in my life. And let me open the poem was, let me open the refrigerator to the world. Mm-hmm. Instead of hiding it, instead of being ashamed of it. And we opened it up and made these rice bowls filled with all of these imaginary things that I had in my refrigerator. And people loved it. Yeah. Chego's as bomb as Kogi. But A-Frame was my first real restaurant that had liquor and all that good stuff, waiters and everything. Mm-hmm. And that came from a relationship of one of our first Kogi supporters. His name is Dave. And I really never intended to be a businessman. I never knew how to be a businessman. I was a salary man before Kogi started. Mm-hmm. I was a chef that just got a paycheck and 2 weeks vacation. And before that, I just worked odd jobs. I never knew how to like run my own business. Yeah. So when this whole thing happened to me, it became more creative art projects and businesses. So I got involved as a creative partner to all these projects. So A-Frame, all I had to do, I didn't have to worry about the bills or labor or any of those things. I just had to create the concept and the menu. That concept was built in an old IHOP. And so it's the A-Frame building. And we started the concept as like, we were a little ahead of our time, I think. The concept I had in my mind there was, again, every restaurant became kind of a poem, me confronting a lot of things that I was keeping inside. Mm-hmm. So A-Frame was about, like, when I was coming up, I've been a food nerd for a long time. Mm-hmm. But I didn't look like a food nerd when I was younger, right? Mm-hmm. And the homies I hung around with were definitely not food nerds. Yeah. And, we were sagging, smelling like weed, doing, just being young and whatever. But I would take them all to the restaurants. And then also when I would bring family to restaurants from Korea, at that time, what would happen was we would get treated like shit, basically, So, and, it hurts. A lot of people don't understand when you're at the other end of racism. They only see sometimes our anger, but they don't understand that we're also, we also have all the levels of emotion. Mm-hmm. Even if you're a tough guy, you have all the, it hurts. Yeah. It hurts when when a waiter doesn't want you to be there, or they put you in the worst table, or something like that. So A-Frame was a concept of, what if we opened the door, or someone opened the door, and it felt like we really wanted you to be there.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing. I feel like, when I look at guys like you, I think of guys like Bruce Lee. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody who immigrated here, didn't look like the people here, just super Asian, and it's so easy at, like, when you're in a place like, you feel, you're literally the minority. There's not a lot of you around, so it's so easy for you to either, one, just pack up and go back home to where you came from, or just try to assimilate as quickly as possible to become as close to everybody here. But like, there's the few that actually want to embrace what's happening and then shift culture and or try to open up doors to be like, yo, let me show you the beauties of my culture, right? So is that like the intention?
That's what I try to do, and that's what I try to do every single day. I'm continuing to do it with stuff we'll probably touch on, but with TV shows and stuff like that. But A-Frame was, let me make a restaurant that, one, everyone can afford, that everyone can feel comfortable in, no matter how you look. You come in with no shirt, no shoes, however you are. I don't care. Mm-hmm. Come in, we're going to sit you down.
Wow.
We made tables where everyone had to sit together, right?
Wow.
So we kind of redefined the communal experience. Sure. So it wasn't like those gastropubs where it was one long table.
Yeah.
It was like literally small tables where if you and I came in as a two-top, and there were 2 extra seats, like we would put 2 strangers right next to us.
Yeah.
Right? So we would have to, it was food that you all had to eat with your hands. And we're spreading this kind of like love, aloha vibe, and people got it, man. It really changed. I know people don't write about it as much as, like, because Kogi was a huge impact, but A-Frame changed the LA dining scene too, because it made people like really come together in this communal experience. And then after that, like every restaurant became communal. But yes, it's something that I consciously do now all the time is, you know, I never try to make a point of being Asian, but I'm sharing Asian culture more than if I said I was Asian.
Yeah. I mean, I think what I get from you is like you're just the real dude, and like just like everybody, we're layered. You know, we're not identified by I am a whatever Korean American. Like that's just a part, like one layer of what I am, and I am, you know, a product of the culture that that I'm living in now. I like this. These are my hobbies. You know, like my faith may be this. You know, there's so many layers to what we are. So I think when I see you, there's just, I think to me the most or just one of the many, like I think admirable things of what you represent is authenticity of and just unashamedly who you are, right? And I think that really shows in everything that you create in terms of even all your food concepts. And so from one concept to the next, like, everything's very different from each other, right? Nothing like...
And that's because it goes back to I didn't know how to be a businessman, right? So I didn't like pre-plan all of these things. They just became creative expressions that I had the opportunity to have. So Chego and A-Frame, and then after that was the hotel, like the hotel in Koreatown, the Line Hotel, and Pot and Commissary, and so that was a chance for me to go back to my K-Town roots, and make a world-class experience in a world-class hotel in the middle of Koreatown, where the world would have to come and take notice. And I feel we did that. We changed. I'm no longer involved with that project. It just actually ended yesterday. But,
I saw on your IG, man. It's
just
crazy.
Ended yesterday, but it's okay. It was a great 5 years because what we did was we made the world take notice of Koreatown. In the time that we opened that project, no one would have ever thought to stay in Koreatown if you're coming from Germany or England or New York or anything like that, right? And so we put the world, Koreatown on the world stage where everyone came to our town on our terms, and then didn't exclude also the hometown families as well. So it was like, it worked for everyone. It was like everyone from K-Town was extremely proud, and they also had access. I wanted to create a place where everyone could access it. So like most hotels, what happens is if you're not staying there, or if you don't look like you're supposed to be there, it feels like you're not supposed to be there. So we wanted to create a place where it was like a train station. Everyone could be there. So free Wi-Fi. We threw pool parties upstairs. You know, you would never imagine swimming in a hotel pool if you weren't staying there. But we threw crazy parties. You know, Tribe Called Quest, Stone's Throw, Beat Junkies. You know, Zoe and Dumbfounded. Everyone. We just lit that place up, and you know, that was unheard of for a hotel lobby. So just like I've been a revolutionary in a lot of things, like not only from the streets, but also to the 10th floor of a hotel suite. You know, of even all the little touches, even the room service menu. We did, you know, we served like ramen and spam and eggs, you know, things you really want to eat. You know, and we served it like Korean grandmothers give you food. We wrapped it in a big cloth, and we put it on your table and you wrapped it, you know. So like by doing all those things, I'm sharing Korean culture, I'm sharing LA culture with the world without forcing them to understand it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like you know, because what I find is like, especially with Asians, man, and if any of you older Asians are out here, like, y'all have to stop explaining everything. The world don't want to hear that, you know. You just look boring. You know, just people tune you out. You know what I mean? You just gotta like, you have to share your culture and your craft with people, but you gotta entertain them as well. You know, and like everything's not about like what, you know, like all the rules of like what it means or has to be Asian, man. And, and so that's what we did, was we shared Korean and Koreatown and Latino culture and LA culture with the world on a world stage, but did it through all the little creative nuances.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, to my knowledge, the Line Hotel was like the first ever boutique hotel experience in like K-Town.
Oh yeah.
And straight up, man, that was probably the littest like place to hang out on the weekends, bro. The lobby was cracking, bro.
I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys been there?
Oh, yeah, we've been there.
To the Line Hotel
Yeah,
many
been there.
times as a squad.
I remember going there the first time, and I was like, "What is this place?"
It's like a lobby, right? And
Yeah.
so it completely, it shatters everything. And that's what I love to do. Is I love to shatter things that you think are rules, but once you shatter them, you realize it was actually holding us back from something. Like, like hotel lobbies. Why can't you have fun in there?
That's true.
So why can't it be like the best design in the world? Things that win awards in architectural magazines.
Yeah.
And also be shared by the community.
You guys definitely ruined all the other hotel lobbies that I've been to. After that, those nights, just going to another hotel lobby was just like, this isn't the same.
I mean, you mentioned that you said that you're not a businessman, right? And and I want to ask you in a second, but like, I think I know what you mean, but I know that.
But I run businesses.
Sure, right. And I think it takes a type of businessman to know what you're good at and what you're not good at, right?
Exactly.
So was that something that you learned like the hard way, or did you already know like, I just want to be creative, so I need someone else to do everything else that I don't want to do?
So that's a trap amongst a lot of people as they grow or try to be successful. Is they feel like they have to know and do everything. And it's also, I think, a trap as us as people, as humans. Like, we feel like we have to know everything. And whereas it's more powerful to say you don't know something, right? And so for me, when this whole thing happened in my life 10 years ago and everything changed, I was old enough to be, I guess, at peace and at zen with myself to say, like, I don't need to be all the things that I think that everyone wants me to be. I can be who I truly am and what I think I'm best at. And so what I'm best at is like coming up with really crazy, weird ideas and concepts, and then pushing those psychedelic thoughts into reality. So creating these environments, and so really getting great people around you to do the thing. I can't like do spreadsheets and bookkeeping and numbers and payroll and all those things. Like, so I have great people that believe in my vision, that uphold their responsibilities.
Yeah.
And without them, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. But I'm very clear in my relationships of what that relationship is. So I say, like, listen, I don't want to do these things, these other things. This is where I'm best. Are you willing to be my partner in this? And in most cases, because those people that are around you can't be that creative sometimes, but they can be a part of the collective creative by doing their part. So it takes someone to do the non-fun things. It takes someone to take reservations or do the bookkeeping or do the taxes. These aren't probably not the best things to talk about on a podcast. They're not that exciting,
real, man.
But it's real.
Very real.
So pay the rent, to do the real estate, to do all of the little things, keep all of the files and pay the accounts payable and the invoices and all that stuff. That stuff, again, going back to the 1 minute of fame and overnight stuff, like those are all things you have to understand. Doesn't mean you have to do them, but you gotta understand that those come with the equation. And but I've been able to surround myself with great people who really believe in me. I'm like coach for everybody, and they allow me to be me. And from there, I think another big decision I made along the way at the beginning was not to go with investors. So a lot of my relationships, like especially with like A-Frame and the hotel and stuff, it's like they, in a sense, they pay me to be there, right? And I take a management fee. it's their business, but I run the creative side. And then Kogi and Chego and everything is all independent. We never take money. So there are two sides to that. One is you maybe don't get as big as, like, if you guys, I see you guys growing right now. There's a couple paths. One is you could go and take venture capital money, right? And then, or investors, and then you could have 10 dojos around the world right away, overnight, with all the best construction and design and everything. Seems like a great deal, but what comes with that is a lot of politics, a lot of responsibility, a lot of having to answer things. Sometimes it comes with compromise, right? Because you have to answer to the money sometimes.
Yeah.
Or you could go the path that we went, which I see in the way you guys are going, is you do it independent. And then by going independent, you don't answer to anyone, and you protect the culture.
Sure.
Maybe you don't grow as fast. You're more of the turtle in the race, but the turtle always wins.
Freak, man, so good.
Yeah,
it's super relevant to us. I mean, like, you're literally speaking right into such a real and relevant place for us, because we are expanding, we are growing, and we discuss all the time, like, what's the best way for us to do it? What's the way that we're going to be able to sleep good at night, knowing that we're doing it this way, whether it's slow or fast, right?
But it's okay, and not every path is exactly. You're going to find what path is right for you guys, but. You can't, and you can mix it up too. You can figure out what that equation is, but you can take money right now, but the most important thing is, even if whatever you do is protect your culture. That's what I say, is protect your culture, because you could take hundreds of millions of dollars now and expand around the world, but when you negotiate, make sure you negotiate that these things are untouchable.
Yeah,
and if you can do that, then you can have the best of both worlds. But what happens to a lot of folks is they get lured by the money, and then a couple years down the road, they're very miserable. And I've seen it firsthand. And I wish I could tell you a prettier story, but I've seen it where I stayed in the turtle lane. I saw all the rabbits go by, and they were flexing and flossing as they went by, and then now they're crying in
the little holes with their carrots.
Little holes. Carrots crying.
Carrots and crying.
Because it comes with that baggage, man. And usually the people with the money, they're giving you that money, can't dance or can't cook, right? So it comes with that. But as long as you protect the culture, you'll be fine.
Yeah, it's good. Do you keep, like, the same core team around you, like, with every venture, or does that kind of, like, fluctuate?
Somewhat, but again, because all the opportunities came very organically, I have different companies and different partners, but I have a core group of about 3 or 4 people that stay with me through everything. And I have one person, her name's Natasha, who's the only person that transgresses across all platforms.
Yeah.
She's like my business partner right hand.
Yeah. What are your thoughts towards like the concept of fusion? And I know some people don't like that term, but what are your thoughts on that?
Again, I think it's a term. Like, I don't see what we do as fusion. I see it as just being us, So I think the term, again, comes from a shallow inability to try to categorize someone that's not you, right? Right. So whether it's the word ethnic or fusion or whatever the case may be, it's like, let me put that Asian person or that person in this box to say, okay, I understand what you're trying to do, but I don't agree with it, because that, you don't understand what I'm trying to do. I don't understand what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
So I'm just expressing myself. Like, if you're calling me fusion, I'm not looking at you and saying you're one thing.
Right.
I'm not defining who you are in one word, So that's why I don't believe in fusion, because it's someone else trying to define what you're trying to do. So to me, we're just we're living life in what I call, like, the blurred lines and, like, the cross sections of life, and we're expressing our culture and our lifestyle in Los Angeles. And I think those are more like what you call, like, micro regional like environments and stuff like that. So I think it's more about just defining like where you come from and what you're doing, because fusion is different if you're coming from Hong Kong or Chengdu or Seoul or LA, you know, and so to label that across the board is totally different, because what I do here in Koreatown and in San Gabriel Valley and the Valley in South Bay, even though it's Asian flavored food, it has nothing to do with Asia. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with Asia.
Yeah.
Like the way I express myself and the way that we feed these streets and the way that we do our stuff, I have no connection to Asia at all. I'm from Los Angeles, you know, and I'm closer to East LA than I am to Seoul, you know, not only in proximity, but also in lifestyle and culture and soul and spirit, you know. And so, to me, I'm not Asian fusion at all.
Yeah, it's legit. Would you say you're living your dream?
Living my dream? I think I'm beginning my dream, actually, you know, and I because my dream, I think, is a dream for other people. I've through the last 10 years, I've grown and found my purpose in life, and that's to help communities. And I don't know if you all know, or all of you that are listening, what I really do beyond just cooking, but you know, I'm out here, man, really trying to change the structure of how people live in this world, you know, changing poverty and inner city communities. I have a restaurant called Local in Watts with my partner Van Patterson, community of Watts and Compton in South LA, South Central LA, and we're trying to spread this thing where we're trying to flip the whole economy of the world on its head, because we're going through too many repeated generations of neighborhoods with no jobs, no money, no opportunity, you know. And so my dream is that I want to create a world where maybe not this generation, maybe not next generation, but maybe 2 generations, 3 generations from now, like every poor brown or black kid doesn't have to grow up in an environment where there's no resources, no education, no jobs, no food, and no nutrition. You know, so I'm trying to take all of that, and I just want to look from my grave, you know, 100 years from now, and see where we're not looking at our communities where it's like the same shit over and over again. So I'm doing what I can to figure that out and fix that. And whatever time I have left on this earth, I'm going to do it. You know, I really am. And, so for me, that's living the dream, is actually changing people's lives and being a voice for the voiceless, and, you know, putting it out there and helping people, you know.
Yeah.
And creating wealth. You know, not only wealth for myself, but prosperity and wealth for everyone. You know, and that's changing a lot of things. It's also changing industry. It's changing opportunity. It's changing how people become rich, how they manage their wealth. You know, things like that. So
that's what's up. You mentioned Local. So Local has a different sort of approach to like the fast food concept, right?
Yeah, for sure.
For lack of a better way to put it, healthier fast food, right?
Yeah, it's healthy, delicious fast food, but also run by the community, employed by the community, speaking to the community, and then also just managed and owned by the community.
Yeah.
The goal of Local is kind of twofold. One is to create a business that grows, you know, so that the people who invested and everyone who's involved, you know, because there ain't nothing wrong with money. You know, we should think that money's okay.
Sure.
You know? A lot of times we hold ourselves back from prosperity because we think we don't deserve it. You know, like wherever you come from, we think like, it's not for me, or I don't deserve it, or we feel guilty about it. But we shouldn't feel that way. Like we should feel like we deserve as much riches that should come our way. And then the other thing is, so we want the business to grow in that aspect because because it's a positive thing. We need more positive stuff out there. Like, actually, I was talking this about someone I really respect from Rage Against the Machine, Zach De La Rocha, right?
I love Rage Against the Machine.
And Zach told me, like, just in a quick conversation, he was like, it's the one thing that I remember when I was going through this project, and I was thinking about, like, will it work? Will it not work? And he's like, this is the type of thing that needs to be everywhere. It's the type of thing that should succeed, and like, if anything should succeed, this should succeed, and this should be everywhere, and it should be, should be overflowing with prosperity. And we need more stuff like that. The other thing is, outside of the business part, we want some key stores like in Watts or Newark to be owned by the community. Like, so that those things can be passed on from generation to generation. We can show models of ownership, because that's big. That's really big in the inner city, is to show ownership, and for the young kids, the youth, to see their elders or uncles and aunties or cousins or brothers working. It's a really big visual thing, because I really believe in memory impressions. So, because what you got to understand, you're from the Bay, so I'm talking about communities like East Oakland, West Oakland, Richmond, East Palo Alto, East Side San Jose, here in Los Angeles, Watts, Compton, South Central LA, Inglewood, go out to the East Coast, Newark, Camden, Brownsville, go to the South, you can, mid-country, you can talk about Ferguson, you can talk about Southside Chicago. So I'm talking about all these communities, real communities, where there are no Little League programs. There are no after-school programs. There are no jobs. There aren't these things. And so a lot of these kids are growing up where they don't see these things in their life, and they don't have these impressions. So the key now is, like, if we can create these memory impressions, then this next generation, whatever other problems there are, at least they'll see, you know what, there's a restaurant. There's my uncle baking in that restaurant. And these things will become memories in their mind. Whereas up until now, we haven't had them.
Yeah. It's amazing, man. So as a father, right, you have a daughter, and like, I can see she looks up to you, she's hanging out over here, right?
Yeah. She's still,
still hanging out.
I don't know how many more years I got left. You wanted to hang out with me, but I'm milking it for as long as I can. I love it.
That's amazing. So, like, being a father, and obviously, I'm sure it's important for you to teach her things about what success is, and how to just live this life moving forward and making decisions, smart decisions. What would you say, like, that, or how would you define success, and how would you encourage not only your daughter, but like the listeners, the future generations that are trying to pursue some sort of a career path? Like, what would you say to that?
Well, I think you listen to what I say. She laughs, but I try to teach her a few things. One is to be whoever you are. I know that sounds cliche, but it's like to really, if you want to dance, go dance. And if you want to do this, if you, whatever it is, I'm not going to force you into something academic if that's not who you are. The other thing is I really teach her a lot to not say sorry if she didn't do anything wrong. Especially, I don't know if it's genetic or historical or something, but us as Asians are always apologizing.
We are, man.
always
bowing,
apologizing for shit we didn't even do.
Yeah, true.
And being so like submissive. And I really try to teach her, like, don't ever be sorry for something if you didn't do anything wrong. Don't say sorry. Don't like apologize. Be very, very clear and confident with what you want to do, how you want to do it. And at the same time, the other end of that is also be very respectful and look people in the eye, say hello, say thank you, be clear. So those are things I try to teach her day in, day out, and then I try to expose her to every single environment I can. So she comes with me everywhere, from Watts to Beverly Hills to anything, to eating, European Michelin food to street tacos. You know,
Damn.
Yeah, you know, from whatever it may be, from Broadway musicals to b-boy. You know, and you know, and so exposing her to everything, not being sorry, you know, and but I think if there is any advice, you also have to own some level of like I don't what's the word, like respect and dignity within this world. Like you could be hard as fuck, you know, you could be crazy as hell, whatever you want to be, but like I mean, there's something to like looking someone in the eye and being honest. You know, so I always try to teach her to be honest. You know, doesn't mean you have to be boring or simple or anything. You know, but I don't like lies and backpedaling or ever having to apologize for something. You know, like it's just something the way I've always lived my life, even before I found cooking and all that. Like. Even before I knew what I was good at or anything, like I was always someone that had a moral code. Even when I was doing immoral shit, I had a moral. There was like a moral code in my mind.
I feel you, man.
Right?
I feel
like
that.
Guidelines,
guidelines, even though it was maybe not moral stuff.
Like when you're stealing socks from Target, it's like, this is not a good thing to do, but I do need socks.
I do need socks.
It's, you know, it's not my fault.
It was the moral code was like, I'm only going to take this amount.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not going to take the 6-pack. I'm just going to take the premium 1-pack.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know, it's an ecosystem, so I'm going to just like live within the environment. I'm not going to take more than I need.
Yeah. I'm not going to go back to this Target. This is wild.
So it's like that. That's what I try to do. Okay. Whatever you do, have a moral code and be honest.
For sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's sick.
I gotta ask, just because I'm a freaking huge fan of the movie, man.
Chef,
man. What was that like? You can go short about it. I just want to, you know, just hear a little bit of that.
John is amazing. Yeah. Everything. If you're a nerd of his films, whatever era you're a nerd of, whether it's the Swingers era or if it's
Rudy,
yeah, him and Rudy is amazing. If it's you know, even if it's if you're a comic book geek and if it's Iron Man, because he became my best friend, man. Really, to be honest, like we never meant it to be that way. Like literally, the way I met John was through a job. So my agent called me and said, "Hey, Jon Favreau is making this movie. He needs a culinary consultant." Just like if he was making a dance movie, he would maybe call you, Ben, and say, "I just need to learn some moves. Please teach me some moves." And I was supposed to just teach him and then bounce, right? But the moment we met, it was like we knew we were like just connected.
Yeah.
You know, so it became less of a job and it became more of a collaboration. And so me and him from that day one, we just started, it no longer became work. You know, it was just like, I felt like I had to give him everything I know about everything I know, how to make, you know, this film better and from a food perspective, and then get into more layers, into just even down to like little things of how someone would wear their apron, exactly like how they would move their hands, all the little idiosyncrasies and superstitions of everything it would take to make that person feel like it was a real cook, you know, or a real dancer, right? Like how you would wear your sock, how would you wear your shoes, your hat, you know, everything like that. And those are, you know, him allowing me into that world, that level, it allowed me to express everything. And so then the film became very like fluid for us working together, and I was there every single day of the set, editing everything. But John is a really, really amazing human being. Like I've been around some very talented people, but I've never been around someone as talented as him. And I'm not just kissing his ass. I'm saying for sure, for real. Yeah. Like he has the ability to go from not knowing something to being proficient at it within seconds. Right? Yeah. So if you were to teach him a whole routine, he could pick up a routine and dance side by side with you, probably in one session. Maybe
That's
two.
wild. I believe it. I remember his swing dance in Swinger. It was legit, man.
And I saw it like as I was teaching him knife skills, for example, where it would be, you know, it would be one thing where it looked very not clumsy. But let's just say clumsy for now. It looked just very rudimentary to me. Like, okay, just move your thing a millimeter this way. Do this. Move your hand in this motion. Watch me as I do this. And then he would watch, make the necessary adjustments in his mind, and then the next take, literally within like 30 seconds, it would be like, it's crazy. And I would see it almost like you would see a time lapse. I would see it like go from this, like, and I would just watch it in front of my eyes, and boom, and he's like a master at it. That's crazy. And then it would go on with every little thing we did. I love John because we both think the same way in a sense, creatively. Like, we're both like disruptors in environments. Like, he's done it, you know, he's done it a lot. He did it with Swingers. He redefined the independent film genre. I did it with Kogi, with the food truck and gourmet food on the streets. He did it with Iron Man, redefining the superhero, you know, world. Before that, all the movies kind of sucked. Not sucked. I want to take that back because I'm a huge fan of Sam Raimi.
Oh yeah,
you know,
they were different.
They were different, and they weren't character driven in the sense that, you know, and they weren't like fully 360 like that. But Iron Man changed the game. Totally, completely changed the game and created the universe. And then Chef, you know, redefined again the independent film market, and you know, in a world where we were filled with so much like kind of negativity and like hatred and like toxic commenting on our social media stuff, you know, very hurtful things that we were doing to each other as people, right? Like, you know, where you cancel people, or, you know, you say mean things, you know. Create a movie where everyone felt good. Yeah, you know, in an environment where it wasn't cool to feel good, like a feel-good movie like that. And he knew and connected. I didn't even understand it as we were making it, because I kept thinking, I learned so much about filmmaking and storytelling through him, but I kept focusing on the food part, right? Like the food part and the chef story and all these things. And during the process, I almost lost track of. He was also telling another story about a parent and a kid within that, you know, and you know, and I saw it, but it really didn't connect with me until when the movie came out, and then we started getting all these comments and people coming up to us and crying and stuff. And I thought they were crying because the food looked so damn good, but they were crying because they were saying, oh, you know, I divorced and I never see my kid, and this, you know, made me go out and spend time with my kid and stuff like that. So it was really cool on that aspect. But John is amazing. Actually, I want to bring John by here sometime.
Hey!
I want him to dance with you guys, because he's a really, really good dancer.
Easy. Let's go.
I want to test out how fast he can get some things down. I want to test it.
What's the most intense like level that you guys have?
I would probably
just got to teach him some crazy routine, bro.
Or we just tell one of our floor bros, teach him like how to flare.
Oh man!
Like, this is how your head spin.
He just comes like,
one session.
Got that, bro. I think you're wild.
That's dope. I'm so down for that.
That's freaking crazy. Yeah, man. We're down for that any day. What's next, man? Like, what are you working on? I'm sure you're working on tons of things. What's going on in your world?
What's next? I have a Las Vegas restaurant coming up next. That's the most immediate next thing. It will open December of 2018. Whoa. And it will be in the new Park MGM, which is the old Monte Carlo, which is where you started.
Yeah.
So you know the back halls really well.
I know them all. Secret tunnels and all that. I can get to the employee dining room still.
There you go.
Got you.
Second floor, I think it is. Right?
Yeah.
So we got that. That's going to be a really, really great project. So since the hotel in Koreatown has come to an end for me, we're going to take that whole thing that we did and try to do a 2.0 version of it in Vegas.
Sick, yeah.
To bring LA culture, DJs, vibes, all that stuff. It's going to be a cool project, man. It's Lady Gaga is going to do a 3-month residency.
Wild.
So grand opening is January for the whole property, and she'll do a 3-month residency. All these restaurants and chefs are going to be involved in the project. It's going to be next level. I have a TV show that I'm filming currently right now.
Sick.
Called Broken Bread, and that's going to be on KCET and Tastemade together. And I think that's going to be really good. I think when you all see it, it'll be like how you guys feel with Chef. It'll be this positive energy force that I think you're going to really connect to, because the show is we're just looking for people doing positive work out there in the world, against all odds.
Yeah.
And so that's coming out probably February, but we're filming now. So those are the two main things I'm working on.
Amazing, dude. I'm so stoked for all of that, man.
That's so dope.
That's so sick.
Thank you.
We're going to do a quick little lightning round session with you, if that's cool. We're going to
Yes.
fire off some questions.
Yes.
It's like off the top of your head. You just got to answer.
Feels
No
good.
thought. Ready? Are we
Go for it.
ready?
Favorite book.
All right, there we go.
Favorite book?
Favorite book.
Kitchen Confidential.
Ooh.
Favorite Jon Favreau movie?
Swingers.
Ooh, okay.
Best rapper of all time.
Rakim.
Who?
Ooh. Favorite kitchen utensil.
Wooden spoon.
Ooh.
Favorite spice?
Gochugaru.
Oh, wow.
Aha. That's the Korean pepper.
That's a Korean chili.
The food item that has the most hype that should not be so hype.
Right now it's hummus.
Whoa.
Everybody's
Freaking
opening
love
up.
hummus.
Whoa.
I love hummus. I'm not mad at hummus. But everyone is opening a hummus restaurant now. It's kind of annoying.
Oh,
Favorite b-boy freeze that you've done or power move, anything in that genre. What was your favorite thing to do?
I got some old ones. I used to do the Colt 45 really
Oh,
good.
you know.
Yeah.
I like that all the time.
I could do I could definitely do a backspin really good. I could do the turtle a little bit.
Hey.
And my word was all right.
Hey. That's respect right there, dude.
What you would like to see less of in the world?
Ooh.
Hate for sure. Hate and I think definitely hate and negativity.
That was beautiful.
That's awesome. Dream collab or like work project that you would like to accomplish?
King Jez and Jon Favreau.
Oh, that's so
On
easy.
stage.
You
know,
heard it.
Done and
Yeah.
done. We're gonna
The
make
whole,
it
the whole
happen.
routine with John in there, no one knowing. It's
amazing.
Mask him up. Oh yeah.
And I think with that we could wrap the lightning.
Yeah, that was a blow up already.
Oh, man, that's
That was a blow up.
So we have this thing called Golden Rule. I'm sure you know what that is for yourself, just like your life mantra, your motto, what you live by. Could be a quote. It could be something that you've developed for yourself. If you were to have a golden rule, what would it be?
My golden rule. I'm living my golden rule,
Whoa.
which is it's not about only you. And if you have the ability to help others, then you better fucking do it. You know, and it doesn't have to be world changing from the start. You know, things start small. So it could be even like when you don't got nothing, still be generous. You know, so mine is being generous, for sure. It's something I've always lived by, even when I was young. And I was told that those things were worthless and that I was being childish and that I was the only one that was going to lose. Because, like, I would share everything. Like, if I had money in my pocket, I'd share it with everybody. If I had a cigarette, I'd break it in half. You know, whatever the case may be, it's like just something that's always been in my DNA. But being generous is what got me here, is what saved my life, you know. And so I think if you can find a way to be generous in whatever it is that you do, that I promise you will pay off. I know if you're younger, it's maybe something that doesn't, you know, seem that exciting right now. But I can guarantee you that it's something that will meet you on the other end of the journey, you know. It's the thing. It's the homie that will be with you forever if you're generous.
Sure. Wow.
Damn,
So sick.
that was freaking good,
You have
man.
to share. You have to share knowledge, and it comes down to whatever it is. Even if you're, even if you're a master in a dojo, you're sharing knowledge of your martial art to the students. You guys are sharing for future generations. And you have to be generous to where it's like, it's a weird thing because like you still gotta have it yourself, but you gotta be generous to where you want others to surpass you or challenge you, and you keep up as long as you can. Like I'm sure you do it with dancing. You want others to be better than you, but you still can go toe to toe. To lead them. Same thing with me and cooking. I want these young cooks to be better than me, but they still can't beat me. Yeah. You still can't beat you yet, but I want them to beat me.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm giving them everything they can to beat me.
Yeah.
But they're still not there yet. So until they get there, I'm the one that has to be generous.
Absolutely.
And maybe when they get there, they can be generous back to me.
Yeah. Inspiration, man. It's full circle. It's awesome. Where can people find you, man? What's the socials? Plug all your stuff, man.
Y'all know where to find me. Kogi, Kogi, Kogi BBQ on Twitter. Just look for that Kogi truck. I'm also in Chinatown at Chego, and and everyone knows I'm out there every single day on the street. So if you see me, just holler.
Are you on the IG?
Oh yeah, my personal handles are Riding Shotgun LA.
Hey,
all one word.
That's tight.
Shotgun LA. Don't worry, guys. I'll link to in the show notes.
Oh, okay. You already know. Well, dang, Roy, dude, thank you so much. I know we went long, bro. I feel like I just had like tons of stuff that just flowing out.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, man, you are a huge inspiration to myself, all of us here. Like, we're so super stoked that you came by. And like, you really are real about what you say. Like, when I, look at what we're doing, we're starting this podcast. We're a dance crew, right? We're like, what business do we have starting something? But for somebody like you to be so supportive of even something like this, like some sort of a new project, it just shows that you care about the community from what we're doing on this end to what you're doing with local. And, bro, you're just you are a humanitarian. And like, I love how you keep it real with your views on money and how the power that it has, but to not have it have power over you, right?
Yes, exactly.
And so we gotta utilize our resources and our platforms and our reach to shift culture and make a difference, man. And you are the living embodiment of that, bro. So thank you so much for like literally dropping gems upon gems. Like, I can't wait for this one to drop.
I also wanted to add that like you are a freaking artist. Yeah. Like you're the way that you represent yourself and the way that you create your ideas. Everything is so artistically humble and conceptually. It's really done well in an artistic way, and I can see it, and I truly respect that. Sorry to cut you off. I just want to throw that out there before there was no more chance, man.
I appreciate that because it's weird for us because my art form in culinary and street food and stuff, it's not traditional, right? Yeah. So it's like, but the people I connect with the most are artists because that's the way I look at the world too, and I express myself. But it's not painting, it's not art, it's not music, it's not traditional. But I appreciate that, and I appreciate this platform because I'm a real quiet dude. But when people ask me for stuff, I can talk your ear off. But I usually don't burden, especially the youth, with it because I don't know if you're ready for it yet, or if you want to hear it, or whatever. But I appreciate that you do.
For sure. Well, you're a big bro. You're young to me, man. I appreciate you coming through. Kaylin, we hope to see you taking more classes here at Dojo.
Class later tonight.
There it is. But, dude, thanks again for stopping by, bro. And, we got to take you up on the Favreau thing. You know what I'm saying? We got to make that one happen.
Well, he has to join in with us, though. You got to get those turtles back. You got to get those backspins back.
My daughter's going to die.
That's amazing. All right. Well, I think we're good, guys.
Yeah,
cool.
Good. Thanks so much for listening. If you liked the episode, make sure to leave us a rating on iTunes. Subscribe if you haven't. Check out Kinjaz podcastwithak.com. Actually, if you actually search for Kinjaz podcast with the regular spelling, you'll find it too. So
we got them all covered.
Yeah, we got it all covered. Hey, well, see you guys next time.
Bang, bang.
Peace.
Ginger Blind.